ओम नमो नारायणाय।
ओम नमो
ओम
नारायणाय।
नमो नारायणाय। आपके वहाँ टीवी या कुछ चल रहा है क्या?
जी हमारी क्लास शुरू हो गई है, तो मैं आपसे आपसे बात करती हूँ, हाँ? बाद में बात। जय
नमो नारायणाय। हम्म, ठंड हो रही है अभी। मुझे तो ठंड लगती है। ओह माय गॉड, चश्मा इज सो गंदा। नमो नारायणाय अंकल जी। I can see my reflection in uncle's glasses. चश्मा में. Okay, we are live. Okay, so I should be careful now. ज्यादा मजाक नहीं करना चाहिए. और 1 मिनट बाकी है, फिर हम शुरू कर लेंगे. मैंने रिकॉर्डिंग पे डाल दी क्योंकि मैं फिर भूल जाती हूँ. Can ask question if you want. Okay, we can start now. Okay. Okay, I'll start with prayer.
गुरुमा प्रणाम.
Namo Narayana to all of you. Okay. We start with our prayers, and this time I've introduced a new one. This is the Parampara. Okay, names of all the people in the Parampara. So in the morning when I meditate, and nowadays my meditation is becoming very long. When I meditate, I take names, all these names, so that their blessing, will be there. And also, I just imagine it's a beautiful way to start meditation. That इन लोग की चित कैसी होती होगी, ये जो हमारे जो परंपरा के जो बड़े ऋषि मुनि जो थे, what was their mind like when they meditate. उसको याद करके फिर मैं meditate करती हूँ. So I put myself in their shoes, and then I meditate, and it is a very profound meditation. See, नारायणं पद्मभवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तमलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। So straight away we'll read. Yeah, I've reduced the number of verses. Okay, just let me remove some of the controls. Yeah. तत्वस्वरूपानुभवात् 45 वर्ष से कर रही हूँ। तत्वस्वरूपानुभवात् उत्पन्नं ज्ञानमञ्जसा अहमेति अहममेति च ज्ञानं बाधते दिग्भ्रमादिवत् सम्यग् विज्ञानवान् योगी स्वात्मन्येवाखिलं स्थितम् एकं च सर्वमात्मानं ईक्षते ज्ञानचक्षुषा। नंबर 47। आत्मैवेदं जगत् सर्वम् आत्मनोऽन्यन्न किञ्चन मृदो यद्वत्घटादीनि स्वात्मानं सर्वमीक्षते। Now, last time we were looking at these verses last two times on Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. So in this verse, Jivan Muktastu tad vidvan purvopadi gunam styajet sasachidadi dharmatvam bhamet pramarakitavat. So in this verse, it is pointed out कि जीवन मुक्त जो है वो क्या करता है? He lets go his sense of reality in the body mind sense complex. पहले उसने बॉडी माइंड सेंस को बिफोर ज्ञानम उसने बॉडी माइंड सेंस कॉम्प्लेक्स को मैं समझा था, उसको वो छोड़ देता है। एंड सो देयर इज अ शिफ्ट इन हिज सेंस ऑफ आई। पहले उसको लग रहा था कि मैं बॉडी माइंड सेंस कॉम्प्लेक्स हूं, अभी उनका शिफ्ट हो गया है प्योर कॉन्शियसनेस में। ठीक है, विच इज इनफाइनाइट एग्जिस्टेंस, जो सद हर वस्तु में है, इट्स इनफाइनाइट। तो अभी उसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है? दैट एवरी सेल इन द बॉडी, today I wrote this thing on Facebook on that, that every cell in the body, every cell and every vritti is nothing but consciousness only, just like a seeming wave. You know, supposing there is a wave in the ocean, that wave knows that I am water. In the same way, this Gnani knows that every cell in this body, every vritti is like a seeming wave in the ocean of infinite existence. Okay? Then the next verse is Titva moharnavam hatva ragadveshadi rakshasan yogi shanti samayukta atma ramo virajate. इसमें दोनों बता दिया है, साधना और फल। सो साधना क्या है? साधना इज टू गेन समत्वम। क्या बोला है? राग द्वेष आदि राक्षसान हत्वा, मीन्स उसको समत्वम हो गया है। ओके, ही इज एबल टू गेन समत्वम बिकॉज ही हैज गॉट रिड ऑफ राग द्वेष आदि राक्षसान। And Moharnavam Tirthva, he crossed this ocean of Moha. How can you cross ocean of Moha? Only by knowledge. So ये वर्ष में साधन भी बताया और नॉलेज भी बताया, एक साधन और फल बताया है। तो साधन है एक तो टू गेट समत्वम और दूसरा है टू गेन नॉलेज। ठीक है, और एक बार नॉलेज हो गई, then that person gets the phala. He is no more a seeker now, but now he is Brahman alone. वो अपने आप को ब्रह्मन समझ गया, So he enjoys Shanti Samayuktaha. He enjoys this peace, this Shanti. You know, English में बोलते हैं a peace that passeth all understanding. इस तरह की एक शांति के साथ वो युक्त हो गया. Next is Bahya Nitya Sukha Saktim Hitvatma Sukha Nirvritaha Ghatastha Deepavat Swasta Swantareva Prakashate. इसमें भी साधना बता गई है कि ज्ञानी बिकेम अ ज्ञानी. पहले उसको क्या करना पड़ा? उसको समझना पड़ा कि the sukha that you gain from external objects, that is temporary. So it cannot satisfy the need the person has for feeling contented with himself. ये जो बाह्य सुख है वो तो टेम्पररी सुख है, और इससे जो मैं नित्य सुख चाहता हूं, ठीक है, जो किसी वस्तु के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट नहीं है, माने अपने आप पे ऊपर निर्भर है, वो तरह की सुख मुझे बाह्य सुख से नहीं मिलने वाला है. ये जानने के बाद, ये समझने के बाद वो ज्ञानी बना था. और एक बार वो ज्ञानी बन गए तो उसको क्या महसूस हुआ कि वो ही ये सुख की समुद्र है. He understood that he himself is this very ocean of contentment, and therefore swamahimne tishtati, wo he is remains in his own radiance. The next verse is Upadistopi tad dharmaihi alipto vyomavan munihi sarvavit vimudhavat sarvavin vimud सर्वविन्मूढवत् तिष्ठेत् असक्तो वायुरुच्चरेत् वायुवच्चरेत्. Not a mistakes. Okay. So in this verse, the Jnani is able to see that even though, what happens with the Jnani? That even though he is living in the body mind, upadhisto, you know, he is totally unaffected by whatever is happening at the body mind level. And what does he like? He is like any ordinary person. उनको देख के कुछ आपको महसूस नहीं होगा कि ये ज्ञानी है, ऐसे कुछ नहीं पता होगा. उसकी like an ordinary person. जब कोई उनसे बात करता है तो he talks to that person. When he feels sleepy, he sleeps. When he feels hungry, he eats. Right? When he is tired, he rests. Or, but one thing about him, he is asangaha. He is emotionally independent. Then one verse on Videha Mukti. Upade vilayad Vishnu nirvishesham vishen munihi jale jalam viyad vyomni tejas tejasi vayatha. And here the verse talks about the Jnani just whose body has dropped. As long as the body is there, so long some experience of limitation is there. And once the body drops, there is no more an experience of limitation. He is one with infinite existence. ठीक है? सबके साथ एक ही बन गया वो. Okay. तो verse number 48 to 52 जो अभी हमने देखा, it was the section of Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. In the next section, we see the knowledge of Brahman. Okay. So, knowledge of Brahman is not objective knowledge. जैसे कि knowledge of a pen, okay, or a knowledge of a phone, or knowledge of the computer, knowledge of anything. It is not objective. It is the knowledge, for example, like the cause of the pot or the essence of the pot. What is that knowledge? The essence of a pot is clay, because clay is the adhishtanam. Okay, that's the underlying reality which is there in and through the pot. जिसके कारण pot has got some existence. Without the clay, the pot will not have any existence. Iti. So, Brahman, clay is the clay pot adhishtanam. But what is Brahman? Brahman is the sarva adhishtanam. It is the adhishtanam of everything, the basis of sarva, the basis of everything in this universe, because of which everything exists. इसी को हम बोलते हैं अधिष्ठानम, मीनिंग द अंडरलाइंग रियलिटी, दिस इज द एसेंस ऑफ एवरीथिंग, because of which everything exists. It gives existence to everything. Just like water gives existence to wave and water gives existence to the ocean. दोनों को water ही existence देती है. So knowledge of Brahman is not objective knowledge of an individual thing. Rather, it is knowledge of the underlying reality because of which everything exists. Okay, so we will now see the next new verses. ये हम कहाँ आ गए? Okay, इसमें क्या है? और आगे जा, हाँ, verse number 53. Let me take out this. यल्लाभो नापरो लाभो यत्सुखात् नापरं सुखं यज्ञानान्नापरं ज्ञानं तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. So this tat brahma iti avadharayet, this is going to be there in many verses in this section. Okay, this section will go on till the end now, from 52 to 68, till the last. This thing that we have, the same section which is knowledge of Brahman will go on. Here, what Shankaracharya says, that Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. That, know that to be Brahman, yat labhat, by gaining which, na aparam labha. There is no greater labha, means gain. But we will look at the meaning of labha again, differently we will see the meaning of labha. So Brahman is that gaining which nothing else remains to be gained. Meaning it is the best possible thing that you can get in this universe. Because Brahman is the reality, the adhishtanam, because of which everything exists. Here the word labha, gain, the word labh hona, means to gain. Here we will not take it as gain, we will take it as knowing. So why will we take it as knowing? Because it is not possible to gain Brahman. Why can't you gain Brahman? Because it is your very self. एक कहानी पूज्य स्वामी जी हमेशा बताते थे. There was this old man, and he did lot of tapas. Finally, this Lord gave him darshan. और भगवान ने बोला कि मुझे आपको जो भी वर चाहिए मुझे पूछो. तो this man said, ठीक है भगवान, आप भगवान है, आप मुझे दे सकते हो. भगवान ने बोला, हाँ मैं दे दूंगा, जो भी आपने बहुत तप की है, तो आप मांगो, आपको क्या चाहिए. So this man said, hey Bhagwan, please give me a head over my shoulders. Then even Bhagwan had to admit defeat. Bhagwan said, I can't do that. तो आदमी ने बोला, पर आप तो भगवान हैं, you can give anything, please give me. So you know what Bhagwan had to say? Bhagwan said, I can't give you what you already have. You already have a head over your shoulders, तो मैं आपको कैसे दूंगा? So in the same way, we cannot gain Brahman because it is our very self. It is already with us. So we don't gain Brahman like we would gain a promotion, or some other object. Gaining here means knowing. So knowing Brahman as the absolute reality, because of which everything exists. Then there is nothing left out. Nothing remains. Okay? Nothing remains to be gained. Nothing remains to be known. Supposing there are 1 million pots. How can you know all of them? You can know all of them by knowing that they are nothing but clay. Right? So here then in this verse it says, Yat sukhat na param sukham. So compared, Yat sukhat, compared to the joy, compared to the peace, compared to the contentment, compared to the satisfaction of having discovered that one's nature is this Brahman or infinite consciousness, there can be no greater peace, there can be no greater satisfaction, there can be no greater contentment, there can be no greater joy. Now, usually sukha can be translated as happiness. However, since the context here is to recognize Brahman, we are going to translate sukha here as perfect peace. Okay? Perfect contentment. And the contentment that is gained on being enlightened. That means there's no greater peace than discovering one's nature to be Brahman or infinite consciousness. Okay, so let's look at this. Now, Brahman is the source of all peace and contentment. Last time we saw that how contentment or peace or joy or satisfaction, it has to be always centered on a conscious being. Right? It cannot be centered on something which is jadam. It has to be centered. You are the one who feels the joy, the peace. You are that conscious being, iti. Additionally, we know that there is only one source of consciousness, which is Brahman or Atma. Not only that, Brahman or Atma is Nityam. The only thing which is Nityam, the only thing which is eternal, the only thing which is indestructible, the only thing which is unchanging, iti, in this entire universe. The only thing which is permanent. So the source of all sukha, therefore, is Brahman. And when one discovers one's identity to be Brahman, then the source of permanent sukha is naturally oneself. And therefore, in Gita, the Jnani is told to be Atmanieva Atmana Tushtaha, the one who rejoices in himself. The source of his contentment is himself. Okay? Because he recognizes he is that infinite consciousness, which is the source of sukha in the whole universe. Now, somebody can argue that, hey, जो हमारे अंदर hatred होती है, जो हमारे अंदर anger होती है, क्रोध होती है, that also requires a conscious being only. True, very true. Means jad vastu to, like you can't have uh, the table becoming angry or this thing. But the source of anger, hatred, etc., what is it? It is the ego. The one who is in ignorance, who is identified with the body mind complex, and who considers himself or herself totally separate from everything. Consequently, who experiences apurnatva. That person is the one who is subject to countless disturbing emotions. Whereas Sukha, Shanti, Tripti, satisfaction, all these are a natural expression of the Purnatvam of the self. Okay? They are a natural expression. So when one discovers that one's nature is Brahman, what is Brahman? Brahman is the infinite consciousness. It is infinite existence. Then one's contentment, one's satisfaction is infinite. There is no greater contentment possible. Then, in the verse we saw, Yat Jnanat na aparam jnanam. There is no greater knowledge than the knowledge of Brahman. In fact, there is no better knowledge than the knowledge of Brahman. Usually we think that knowledge we gain should be used by us, usefully. कि चलो उससे we'll make a living. So I may get a degree and then I want it to translate into a job. Or if I'm a housewife, I learn some new recipes and I should put it to use, creating some good, enjoyable food for my family. So knowledge of objects can be put to some use that gives us what kind of benefits? Limited benefits. Knowledge of limited gives limited benefits. But what is knowledge of Brahman? Knowledge of Brahman is knowledge of that which is totally free of all limits, right? So knowledge of Brahman is knowledge of myself. What kind of self? The self which is free from all limits, the limitless self, the self that is infinite. What kind of limits normally we experience? Time, space, object. So this is knowledge of the self that is free of time, space, object. The self that pre-exists, that is there before any limit whatsoever even got created. The self that is free of the limitations of the mind and yet which blesses the mind, with unlimited potential to achieve what it wants in this earthly dimension. The self that is free of limitations of the body. So the self that is infinite presence. Really, when, sometimes when you are in deep meditation, you actually experientially experience this, that you are infinite presence, infinite auspiciousness, infinite peace, and infinite love. So the benefit of knowledge of Brahman is limitless. And after gaining which, this Ananda, there is no more greater Ananda. And there is no further craving for knowledge. More craving, knowledge craving, more knowledge I want is the same as craving for wealth. Because like the craving for wealth is endless. Like that, craving for knowledge also is endless because knowledge of the universe is endless. There's no end to what amount of knowledge you can gain. But once you get this knowledge of Brahman, the infinite being your very self, the knowledge is not knowledge of Brahman alone. Knowledge is very specific. The knowledge of Brahman being me. Okay? The knowledge of Brahman being the very self. Okay? That destroys the craving for more knowledge. In fact, this knowledge of Brahman, it confers moksha on us. So having understood the problem of taking oneself to be limited, and if you take yourself to be limited, then you are going to be bound, bondage hoga. But having understood that this is because of ignorance, then we can say moksha, which is the Parama Purushartha. Parama Purushartha means the greatest goal. Moksha is through knowledge and knowledge alone. So having told us these three ways in which knowledge of Brahman is the greatest knowledge, Shankaracharya then says, Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. Iti indicates quotation marks. Avadharayet. May you recognize, may you ascertain Brahman. How? Tad. In that way. In which way? In the way which was told. Yad labhat na paro labha, yad sukhat na param sukham, yad jnanat na param jnanam. May you ascertain it in that way, in the way in which it was given. That by knowing my nature, my own nature, my true nature, to be Satchidananda Brahman, this is the greatest knowledge, and this is what is the ultimate contentment. Okay? So you must ascertain that knowledge, you must gain that knowledge. Iti. Then in the next verse we have Yad drishtva naparam drishyam. Yad यद्दृष्ट्वा न परं दृश्यम् यद्भूत्वा न पुनर्भवः यज्ञात्वा न परं ज्ञेयम् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. Nice. यद्दृष्ट्वा न परं दृश्यम् यद्भूत्वा न पुनर्भवः यज्ञात्वा न परं ज्ञेयम् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. So here he says, Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. That is to be understood as Brahma, yad drishtva, having seen which, na param drishyam, there is nothing else to be seen. Yad bhutva, having become which, na punarbhavaha, there is no rebirth. Yad jnatva, having known which, there is nothing else to be known. So this verse is very similar to the previous verse. Yad. Yad refers to Brahman. Yad drishtva. Brahman drishtva. Having seen, having understood, having recognized Brahman. Na aparam drishyam. There is nothing else left to be seen, to be known, to be recognized. In fact, there is nothing better to be seen, nothing better to be discovered. Naturally, because once you recognize that Brahman is the Adhishtanam, the underlying reality of the whole universe, because of which the universe itself exists, you recognize that in fact there is nothing here other than Brahman. In fact, you are also not other than Brahman. Then naturally there is nothing else here to know other than Brahman. Yad bhutva. Here the bhutva, meaning of bhutva is to become, having become. But here we should take it in the context of the true nature of Atma being Brahman. Atma is Brahman, self is Brahman. So there's no question of becoming Brahman, right? You can't become what you already are. Like you can't gain what you already are. You can't become what you already are. You are already that. Infinite, silent, self-revealing presence, consciousness. You know, in meditation, nowadays my meditation, morning I meditate. So that's what I experience it really like that, as an infinite presence. Because the mind withdraws from everything. And then when the mind withdraws from all objectification, then you are able to see that fact that yes, you are here as an infinite presence, in whose presence every now and then a thought comes. कभी कभी एक sound सुन लिया, कभी कभी कुछ, so when you're in meditation, what only maximum is you hear a sound or some thought comes into your mind. Maybe you feel some sensation on your body at the most. But what you recognize is you are that presence, and that presence is infinite, in whose presence this thought is taking place, or this sound is taking place, or this sensation is taking place. Most of the time you're not even aware of that, but once in a while, something will go across the, go across your mind. So Atma is Brahman. The self is Brahman. So there's no question of becoming Brahman. You can't become what you already are, right? You're already that. Infinite conscious presence. Okay. But because of ignorance, you think you're not that. So when the ignorance goes, there is an as though becoming. Because there is a removal of ignorance that causes that sense of separation between you and Brahman to go. It just appears like you have now become Brahman. It may look to you like, ha, abhi main Brahman ban gaya. When the sense of separation, Brahman is recognized to be false. So the sense of separation from Brahman is recognized to be false. So sense of separation from, yeah, that's all I can say, from Brahman is recognized to be false. So the reality is that you have always been consciousness, infinite consciousness. Okay. So having gained the vision of the self being non-separate from Brahman, when you drop the body, then what happens? You lose that experience of separation from Brahman. As long as the body is there, when in your waking state, there is some, mild sense of separation. There's a sense of limitation, because there's an experience of limitation actually. But when the body drops, naturally that goes away, and then na punar bhavaha. Bhava refers to rebirth. Na punaha bhavaha means there is no more rebirth, because all the agami and sanchita karmas have been burnt in the fire of knowledge. The prarabdha karma is exhausted, and so there is no more rebirth for this jnani who has dropped his body. Then we have yat jnatva, having known. Having known what? That my own true nature, that the self is Brahman, having recognized that one's true nature is indeed Brahman, na aparam gneyam, gneyam, to be known. There is nothing else to be known. There is nothing remaining to be discovered, because you've discovered the ultimate. The ultimate discovery which gives you total contentment, that you have discovered. So then every other discovery is, nothing very great, iti. Because your discovery is that your true nature is that you are sarva adhishtana, the underlying essence of the whole universe, the very fabric of all existence. What words to use? It's very difficult. So fabric of all existence is a good thing to say. Okay. Then in effect, what happens? Everything is known, right? The whole cosmos is as well known when you recognize its essence to be Brahman, which is your own true nature. Therefore, he says here, Tat Brahma iti avadharayet. May you ascertain what is that Brahman. Okay. Tiryag urdhvamadap purnam satchidanandamadvayam anantam nityamekam yat tad brahmetyavadharayet. Okay. Yad brahma iti avadharayet. That is to be understood as Brahman, which is Tiryag, all pervading, urdhvam, above, adhaha, below, whole, purnam. It is Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, wholeness, Advayam, one without a second, Anantam, infinite, Nityam, free of time, Ekam, only one. Okay? Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. May you ascertain that is Brahman, which is Purnam. Purnam. Purnam means full, whole, not H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E, whole, complete. So Brahman is full. Purnam. Purnam from all the sides. Tiryak. Urdhvam. Adhaha. Okay, it is all pervading. It is full from all sides. It is full from above, from below. There is nowhere where Brahman is not. It's extending in every direction. Brahman is filling up all the directions. It's the very essence, the very fabric of all existence. I keep using the word so that it just gets into our system. It is Satchidanandam. And usually we use the word Satchidanandam to describe our own true nature. But since our true nature is not separate from Brahman, so Satchidanandam is a word which is used to describe Brahman. It is Sat, it is existence, it is Chit. That existence is a conscious existence, a conscious presence. And it is Anandam, it is whole, it is that which is Purnam. Okay? Totally Purnam. Iti. So the reality because of which the universe exists and the reality because of which you exist, Atma, they can't be two different realities. Tattvamasi, that you are. So the essence of who we are is Advayam, non-dual. Non-dual means there's no other thing. Why? Because there is only one fabric of existence. That Sat is only one. There may be million things in this universe, but all of them are one Sat alone, one existence alone. And that existence is consciousness. So your consciousness is not different from my consciousness. How amazing. Consciousness is Anantam. It's infinite in terms of both space and time. Free of time, Nityam. It's not limited by time. It's unborn, uncreated. Using the same words again. All pervading. Free of all boundaries. जिसकी कोई boundary नहीं है. हर वस्तु में boundary होती है. स्पेस को भी हम देखते हैं तो हमें लगता है कि इसमें बाउंड्री है, होराइजन है. But that which has got no boundary at all. It is ekam, one. Okay, just one fabric of existence. Okay, that should be well asserting. Okay. So, introducing the next verse, the context very briefly. Good, today we'll finish early. Brahman is that which is free of all attributes or qualities. Right? Brahman is nirgunam. So then, how can Brahman be known if Brahman is nirguna? It has no qualities because everything in the universe is known because it either belongs to some species, jati, or it has got some attributes, guna, or it has got some action in it, kriya, or it is related to something, sambandha. Okay? And that's how we know something. For example, you will know that this cloth is orange because it has the quality of orange. If this cloth had no qualities at all, how will I describe it to you? I can't describe it to you. Okay? It is possible to know something or describe something which has got jati, guna, kriya or sambandha. Okay? But Brahman has got no qualities, no attributes. It does not belong to any species because it is one without a second. There is only one such thing, and that is Brahman. It doesn't have a different species. A cow species, within the cow species, it's a Jersey cow. इस तरह की वस्तु तो है ना. It is one without a second. Iti. And it is asanga always. It is satyam. Everything else is mithya. So it has no relationship. It is always asangaha. Iti. Therefore, at one level, it looks like Brahman can't be known. It's true that Brahman can't be known as an object. Yet, Brahman, we need to teach Brahman that what is Brahman. And that is what this next verse is going to show us. How we can know this Brahman. Let me just hide my controls. Yeah, so that I can see all. This verse, atadvyavriti rupena, atadvyavriti rupena, vedantair vyayam, vedantair vyayam, akhandanandamekam yat, akhandanandamekam yat, tad brahmetyavadaraye, tad brahmetyavadarayet. So he says that is to be known as Brahman, tad brahma iti avadarayet, which yat is shown by the Upanishads, means Vedantehi lakshyate. And how is it shown? Vyavriti rupena. By what it is not. Okay? It is by the process of negating what it is not. Process of negating Vyavriti rupena atad, what it is not. And then what remains after all that negating? That which is indestructible remains, that which is partless, akhandanandam, which is a partless whole, which is one alone, that remains. This is a very interesting verse. That is Brahman, that you should understand. How to understand? Yad Vedantehi lakshyate. That which is indicated by the teachings of Vedanta. And what are the teachings of Vedanta? Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, Prakarana Granthas like this. And how do they teach? Atad Vyavriti Rupena. Through the method of negation of whatever Brahman is not, leaving behind that which cannot be negated, which is indestructible, whole. We saw this. So the process of negation is the most appropriate method for revealing the nature of Brahman, because Brahman is not an object, which we can know, like I know a pot, or like I know a pen, or like I know a computer. Brahman is not an object like that, because Brahman is free of all gunas. It is free, it is nirguna. So that's why we use this method of Vyavriti. The famous Upanishad statement we saw earlier, na iti, neti, neti, that is used. So in Vedanta, there is a logical method called the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. So we will see what this Nyaya is. Nyaya means logic. So I don't know now if it is still there, but in olden days it was obligatory for newly married couples to see the Arundhati Nakshatra. The priest would take the newly married bride and groom outside. It's at night. A ritual, part of a ritual at night. So the priest will make them look at a particular star. So one star is, it's a double star. It's actually a double star when you look through a telescope, and you will see one star is called Vasishta and the other star is called Arundhati. Some of you may know that the sage Vasishta was married to Arundhati, and their marriage was often held as the ideal marriage because they were inseparable. So just as sage Vasishta and his wife Arundhati were inseparable, like them, those two stars, Vasishta and Arundhati, are inseparably connected. Beta, thoda kam आवाज बनाया करो. The priest makes the newly married couple look up at the star so as to bless them that their marriage should also be, blessed with being connected, inseparably. So why is this Nyaya important? It is important in how the priest makes them look at that particular star. So the couple have to see this particular star, Arundhati. So the priest has to point out this particular star, not just ask them to look at any star. Okay. So let me see if I can do something. Maja ke liye. Let me see if I can get a whiteboard and do something. Okay. Okay. Very difficult because you guys are also on the screen, and okay. So I'm trying to do something. Oops, my goodness. Annotate का control कहाँ आ गई? Draw. Okay. You'll be thinking, what is she drawing? Not bad. I'm pretty impressed by my drawing. Okay. Okay, and now I'm going to draw something else. Okay. So there's the priest. He takes this couple outside, and there is a tree over there. He has to point out that star. So what he does, he points out to one tree which is there outside. And he says, do you see that tree? It's a little bit in the distance. So पूछते हैं कि can you see the tree? So couple says, yes, yes, we can see the tree. Okay. Then do you see that on the right side there is a fork in the tree? The branches have got a fork. Yeah. We can you see that branch? Yeah, I can see. Do you see the fork in the branch? Yeah, I can see the fork. Do you see the star in the fork of the branch? Yes. Yes, we see the fork. Then the priest says, no, that is not Arundhati. That's not Arundhati. They know that they have to see Arundhati, and the priest says, that is not Arundhati. So then he says, okay. So the priest continues. He says, look a little further to the right. Thoda aur right mein jao. Do you see that really bright star? So yeah, we can see that really bright star. He says, no, but that's not Arundhati. वो Arundhati nahi hai. Then he says, okay, go a little further up, little bit further. Do you see that thoda sa dim star, They say, yeah, we can see that. But that's not Arundhati. Iti. So in this way, the priest keeps on pointing to something, to the star and says, do you see that? Do you see that? They say yes. And he says, no, that's not Arundhati. So he leads them from one star to the other. And each time he negates the star and then he leads them to the next star. So it is a process of negation, that ultimately leads that newly married couple to see this particular star called Arundhati. It's a beautiful example for us to use. Because in this example, that process of negation is used to lead that couple to find that particular star. And with regard to knowledge of Brahman, this is very appropriate. Now, consider, when they look up at the star for the first time, जो पहले बार उन लोग ने star को देखा, they are looking at all the stars. So, do they see Arundhati or not? They do see Arundhati, but in a very general way. They are seeing Arundhati in a general way, but they don't know that it is Arundhati specifically. Generally तो देखा है, पर कि ये अरुंधति है, specifically नहीं पता है. In the same way, since everything that we experience is a manifestation of Brahman, so you can say that Brahman is not completely unknown. Brahman is present in everything that we experience, so we can't say Brahman is unknown. Brahman is known in general. Just like when that couple looked up the sky and Arundhati was known in general. But the couple still needed that methodology to see Arundhati particularly and specifically. In the same way, Brahman is known in general as the reality because of which everything exists. Yet in order to know exactly and particularly what is that Brahman, this methodology of negation is required. Through a process of negation, we are led to discover Brahman. It can't be random negation. I can't just say, Brahman is not an animal, Brahman is not a plant, Brahman is not mountain, Brahman is not ocean. That kind of negation will not lead us to the knowledge of Brahman, being our true self. We will have to negate what we consider to be ourself, no? That will have to be negated. So, Firstly, Brahman has to be already present in our experience, just as the star, that couple who was looking for that star is already present in their experience, but not recognized for what it truly is. In the same way, Brahman is already present in your experience, in my experience, but not recognized for what it truly is. You can ask me, what do you mean by saying that, Brahman is already present in my experience? It is present in your experience as your own consciousness. The consciousness because of which you know what's happening right now. The consciousness because of which you know that I am sitting here in Rock Valley teaching you online. The consciousness because of which you know what is happening in your mind, what is happening in your room. That consciousness is present in every single experience of yours, every single experience. And what Shastra is pointing is, you thought that you were the body, so Shastra has to negate that. You thought that you were the mind, so Shastra has to negate that. You thought that you are all the physiological functions, Shastra has to negate that. Na iti, na iti, na iti. You thought you're your ego, Shastra has to negate that. Na iti, iti. Okay? So and then you are left with that which cannot be negated, because you are the negator, are very much present there. You are present there as just simple basic consciousness. And that consciousness, which is always present in every experience of your, that is what is pointed out, that consciousness is Brahman. It is the infinite. It is infinite existence. It is infinite presence. Iti. So Brahman can only be known as yourself, as your true nature. And that is the only way that Brahman can be known, as your own very true nature. And that's why this negation is required, because we already take ourselves to be something, and therefore that process of negation is required. And in the second half, it is pointed out, okay, where it is pointed out that what is Brahman, because only one thing is you, the consciousness, are left behind, and it is pointed out that which is left, which can't be negated anymore, it is avyayam, it is indestructible, it is akhandam, it is akhanda anandam, it is a ananda, okay, without any divisions. It is a fullness, limitless, vast, endless. So here, Akhanda Anandam, it cannot mean bliss, like bliss in capital letters. Because bliss is usually an experiential word. It is what you experience. And what happens is your experience of bliss comes to go. कौन है जी? हाँ? आदर्श अभी मेरा क्लास चल रहा है. Oh, right at the crucial moment. Okay. So this bliss is an experiential word, right? It is what you are experiencing. And what you experience as bliss, it comes and it goes. It is temporary. Here we are talking about Brahman. Brahman is not a temporary experience which comes and goes. So we cannot translate Ananda here as bliss, because bliss comes and goes. And if it is something, if Brahman is a bliss which comes and goes, then Brahman just becomes an object of your experience. But Brahman is not an object of your experience. Brahman is yourself. It is your true nature. The nature that is unborn, unchanging, uncreated, ever present consciousness, pure consciousness. And so in this verse, it is told, Akhandam Anandam, it is referring to your own true nature of being Purna, full, whole, complete. Tad Brahma iti avadharayet. You should understand that Brahman as Akhanda Anandam, which is your own fullness, your innate fullness. You know, you are that Purnam Iti, and so you can say Purnoham. Haha, it's a beautiful, we have a beautiful meditation of Puja Swamiji where he does this Purnoham, Purnoham. I'll try to find it and dig it out so that next time we can do that meditation. Yeah? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti.